Hey there, lady. My name is Molly Conley, and I'm devoted to helping women reinvent their love lives, whether that's after divorce, dating on and off the apps, or in their committed relationship. Why? Because I've been there. I'm a former college athlete who filed for divorce 3 years into marriage, swam in the online dating pool into my late 30s, and now I am married to the man of my spreadsheet dreams who I met 4 months before the world shut down. As a dating and relationship coach, I help my clients shift the focus from being obsessed with finding Mr. Right to shifting to herself as Miss Right Now. We build a foundation filled with clarity, connection, and confidence, knowing she is worth waiting for. Each week on the podcast, I'll bring you love life insights and savvy guests, where you will receive the courage to release programmed limiting beliefs. Discover patterns and behaviors restricting you from finding and attracting quality men, and ways to choose yourself first so you can build a foundation for a healthy relationship with yourself and a partner. Hey there, lady. You're listening to a bonus episode this week, and I'm talking all about how your past relationships are blocking you from finding love. You may want to grab some paper to take some notes if you already know your past relationships are affecting your dating life or even your current relationship. To be honest, there's a lot of different avenues we can take on this topic of what's blocking you from finding love or what you're looking for in an ideal relationship. So, if today's episode leaves you wanting more so that you can move through these blocks, join me for my Looking for Love Masterclass on Thursday, April 20th at 6 p.m. Central Time. The class doesn't cost you anything other than your Thursday night. So I'm going to spill the tea basically on connecting the dots between the qualities and characteristics of what you want in a man and how that will be affecting your relationship long term. We'll even work through some of this together. So maybe it's part masterclass and part workshop. Then I'm going to move into what's actually blocking you from having this relationship in the first place. Obviously, I'm covering a tiny part of what it is today. Last but not least, I'm going to share ways for you to build self trust so that you can know if someone is right for you right now. I'm also going to give you the opportunity to be coached by me at the end of the Q&A. You can either go to my website, reinventingthearena.com/events to register, or you can scroll down to the show notes to find the link there. So I'm going to take you back to 2011 Molly. At the time, I was just recently divorced from my first husband, moved out, and returned to some, what do I want to say? Younger dating habits of meeting men at like a bar or some sort of social gathering situated around alcohol. I was 29 years old, and to be honest, that sort of dating scene in Omaha, Nebraska wasn't, let's just say, healthy, which I didn't know at the time. My husband, that ex-husband, excuse me, had led me to believe that no one was going to want to date me because I was divorced. And at one point, I remember that he mentioned, this is ridiculous, that he was going to be the best man I would have ever had. Even though I knew this wasn't true, these ideas, these conversations lingered and still deeply hurt me. I was mentally and emotionally drained from not only our marriage, but the divorce as well. So, because of that, my standards were like non existent. I basically soaked up any attention I received, which was lacking in my marriage. Fast forward a few months, and I was in a serious, to me, sort of relationship. And then about a year or so later, he broke up with me after moving out of state. So, what did I do? I found a new boyfriend, and that relationship lasted a few more years. When that last relationship was over, it was 2016. So I had 5 years of being divorced and practically 9 years, if you count my relationship with my ex husband, of being in a back to back cycle of serious to me sort of relationships. I was frustrated, angry, lonely. I never understood why I felt these feelings constantly, and I also never felt like I was truly loved. But What I didn't realize was that I was sabotaging my future relationships by allowing my past relationships to affect me. So I was not only bringing my personal baggage, but any of the relationship baggage from the past into the next relationship. Because let's be honest here, if something happens that reminds you of an ex or feels like a situation you had to deal with in your past, you will punish the current man in your life because of your ex. Yeah, let that sink in there. So let's go through how your past relationships are blocking you from finding love. The first and the easiest one to see is that maybe you never took time to grieve the loss of the relationship, all the good and the bad things. And I'm not just meaning the person, I'm literally meaning the idea of the relationship, the plans you had for the relationship, the other people that came along for the ride, like maybe new friends that you guys met as a couple, or some of his friends became your friends and vice versa, or you became really close with a family member of his, all of that. Even like grieving the person that you wanted to become in the relationship down the road, all of that needs to be grieved. You have to take the time to process that things have changed and the plans that you had are no longer going to happen in the future. So, this takes time and something I see a lot of women typically rush through. Yes, I see women, mourn their exes, and it's usually like the longer you've been with someone, it's the harder it is to let that grieving process happen for an extended amount of time. But for example, I had a client call where we talked about grief. And I want you to basically envision a golf ball, and that is your grief. And I want you to put that grief into a mason jar. That you are the mason jar, and the grief is inside of you. And as you continue to live your life, you grow. So your mason jar gets bigger and bigger and bigger, but the golf ball stays the same. Grief never really leaves you, specifically, like if you think of a family member that might have passed away or a really close friend, something like that. Like these people and these memories stay with you. And a relationship, a loving relationship, a sexual relationship will still stay with you for years to come if you do not take the time to not only grieve, but to process, which leads me into the second one, which is recognizing the patterns. You're going to look at the men that you've dated over the past, like, I don't know, 5 to 10 years, um, to see what they all had in common. Are they all bad boys? Are they all the same height? Are they all doing the same sort of hobbies? Do they all smoke cigarettes? What is it that they all have in common? And I want you to list them all out, and even the good and the bad, okay? Like, list all that out. And now you can see the patterns of what you are currently and or previously, I mean, have dated, the type of men that you've dated. This is going to confront you with the patterns that you have in dating. That maybe you say you don't want to date a man who is constantly going out on the weekends, but for some reason, that's who you've been attracting, and that's who you have been, deciding to date. So finding these patterns and being like, oh, I'm still choosing this pattern because we all have a choice here of who we date. So seeing and recognizing these patterns that you have from your exes that you don't want are very helpful for you to break the patterns of how you choose your next relationship. So, even some questions that you can ask yourself would be, what drew you to them in the first place? What sort of awareness do you need to have in the future so you don't get stuck in a pattern that's not serving you? How will you know that you aren't jumping back into the same pattern? So, once you work through these questions and work through this sort of exercise of looking at the patterns, it's time to get some clarity around what you really want in a relationship and then figuring out what you really want in a man. So, that's like a whole nother topic, but like I said, that's going to be part of the masterclass. But let's get on to the last part here, doing the inner work. What areas do you need help working through? So, for example, did your ex cheat on you and you have issues around trust and honesty? So, if you've been cheated on, you might not notice how issues around trust and honesty are coming up with you, or sorry, come with you to every relationship afterwards until you address it with yourself. Yes, you can talk to your partner about it all day. You can be like, "So he cheated on me, this and that happened. It really hurt. I hope you don't cheat on me." Whatever, however you have that conversation. But the issue really needs to be addressed with you first. You have to start challenging the narrative and your actions, not only to build trust in your relationship, but to build trust within yourself for making the right decisions. Okay, lady, this was a short episode. If you found this helpful, please share it with your friends and leave me a review. I would greatly appreciate it. If you want to learn more about what's blocking you and what to do about it, please sign up for my masterclass. Like I said, it's going to happen Thursday, April 20th at 6 p.m. Central Time. It's called Looking for Love. You can go to reinventingthearena.com/events or find the details in the show notes of this episode. Until next time, have a wonderful day. Thank you for listening to the Reinventing the Arena podcast. If you loved this episode or even the podcast, please leave a review on Apple Podcasts or a rating on Spotify. It helps more ambitious women like yourself find this show and learn how to have a healthy relationship with themselves and a partner they love. Until next time, remember to believe in yourself, that you were meant for a better relationship, not only with fully knowing and loving yourself for who you are, but knowing that there's a man out there for you. You're not too picky. You're not too much. You are enough. And the right man knows this too.